So, within the last hour, Dzhokhar Tsarnaev has been charged with conspiring to use a weapon of mass destruction, leading to the deaths of 3 people in the bombing of the Boston Marathon. The charges were delivered as he lay in his hospital bed. The White House made clear tonight that he would be tried under civilian law rather than treated as an enemy combatant. But the charges could still carry a death sentence. Our international editor, Lindsay Hilson, is at the hospital where Tsarnaev and some of the injured victims are still being treated. Lindsay.
John, as you say, within the last hour, Dzhokhar Tsarnaev has been charged. They read the charges to him just behind me in his hospital bed. He is apparently conscious. He apparently still can't speak because he has an injury in the throat, but he is able to write. And in the presence of a magistrate, he was read the charges of using a weapon of mass destruction to kill more than 3 people and injure more than 200 at the Boston Marathon exactly 1 week ago. Those charges do carry a death penalty, and they were read to him just as the first victim was buried just outside Boston.
Today saw the funeral of 29-year-old Crystal Campbell, one of 3 people killed in the marathon bombing exactly 1 week ago. A private ritual given public meaning as the nation mourns and the investigation continues. The security camera footage of Dzhokhar and Tamerlan Tsarnaev has been played and replayed now as the FBI piece together their movements and motivation. The brothers were occasional visitors to the mosque in Cambridge. In November, Tamerlan reportedly protested when the imam said Muslims were allowed to celebrate American holidays. In January, he shouted that the congregation were unbelievers when the imam praised Martin Luther King, a non-Muslim.
In their visits, they never exhibited any violent behavior, sentiments. Otherwise, they would have been immediately reported to the FBI.
2 years before the bombing, the Russian Secret Service, the FSB, asked the Americans for information about Tamerlan Tsarnaev. But how seriously was that taken? After all, last year's FSB calendar shows the logo of the CIA in flames, from which the FSB shield emerges triumphant, hardly a sign of trust. Politicians here are saying the FBI failed.
The ball was dropped in one of 2 ways. The FBI missed a lot of things as one potential answer, or our laws do not allow the FBI to follow up in a sound, solid way. There was a lot to be learned from this guy. He was on websites talking about killing Americans. He was clearly talking about radical ideas. He was visiting radical areas, and the fact that we could not track him has to be fixed.
The day after the bombing, Tamerlan visited the car repair shop where he used to work and rang an estranged uncle.
He said he wanted to make peace with me, and he was wrong. Now he's praying, he's a good Muslim.
Dzhokhar went back to the Dartmouth campus where he studied. Other students asked him his view on the bombings.
I saw him Tuesday, the day after, at the gym. He seemed very nonchalant. He didn't seem like aggressive. Like nervous. He was like, "Yeah, tragedies happen, man. Like these things happen around the world. Like it's crazy."
Now Dzhokhar Tsarnaev lies in the same hospital as some of his victims, under heavy guard. His brother is dead. Only he can explain what they did and why.
But Lindsay, obviously people in Boston and in the United States generally are primarily focusing on the bombing. But I was wondering, given that last week President Obama lost this great fight on gun control, is anybody talking about the vast amount of automatic weaponry they had at their disposal?
Yes, certainly, and it's come out that neither of them had a weapons license, even though they had a lot of guns. But of course, what killed people were improvised explosive devices, the kind of thing that you would normally see in Afghanistan or Iraq, not in America in a city. And the bomb that they made was packed with ball bearings and nails. So that shows that even with these everyday things that you would find, that was the main way in which they were able to kill people, quite apart from the guns that they had.
but no sense that President Obama is going to make any issue of the fact that automatic weapons were here in such enormous quantities, A, without a license, B, in a culture in which automatic weapons are fully accepted as saleable over the counter with not very many background checks.
Well, I think that this is a big issue of contention here, which is culturally, where did these young men fit? Were they the products of America, a gun culture which some people talk about, violence, or were they a product of Chechnya and extreme Islam? And that is one of the sort of cultural wars that's going on in the discussion about this. But what we can say for sure is that this young man in the hospital behind me, he's now going to be charged. And the arguments will also rage about his immigration status. This young man is an American, a naturalized citizen. He was naturalized, he took his American citizenship, ironically, on September the 11th last year. Some people have said that he should be treated as an enemy combatant, but maybe like the 7/7 bombers who we had in Britain, he was not a foreigner, he was American. And that has a particular significance, and that's one of the things that people are talking about a lot here today.
Lindsay Hilson in Boston.